very happy NSYNC month to those of you who celebrate along with us at GLHF Studios. Today we're ringing in the spring with an army of cuddly wombats. Our provided review copy of Wombat Kombat by designer Arif Savi comes to us from NeoTroy Games and will allow you and up to 5 of your friends to engage in marsupial martial arts to determine just who can collect the most poo. That's right, you're going to be fighting over cubicle feces. I guess that's good? I don't know. Let's open the box and find out. Past our cover, we're going to find a bare minimum of stuff. We have a 14-page rulebook, but its size is mostly large font, illustrated examples, and careful descriptions of gameplay. Not too worrisome. What might have you shaking a little is the total lack of organization in the box. There are no baggies to keep the cards or tokens together, so what you end up with could be a bit of a mess. These are, that's right, the aforementioned poo tokens. It turns out that wombats actually do defecate in cube form, and they can make, I am not kidding, up to 100 cubes a day. We don't have that kind of time though, so let's just get right into it. The goal of the game. The player who can amass the most poo by game's end, determined either by the draw pile running out or by one player amassing a certain number of armies, is declared the ultimate combatant. And yes, I spelled that with a K in my head. A minimum of 3, but no more than 6 wombats can partake here, and expect your first game to last 45 minutes to an hour, and subsequent games should come in between 30 and 40 minutes. And now it's time to ask a question you never thought you'd hear. But how, Nicholas, do I obtain all this poo? Our 3-player game here has each of us starting with 10 tokens and 10 cards in hand. These cards came from the main draw deck, which has all the cards that aren't events. Those 3 categories start in the middle of the table, and 1 end of game card and 1 continuous card start the game face up. On your turn, you're going to draw 3 cards. You can either draw all 3 from the deck, or you can take cards off the top of the discard pile as long as they're each a wombat. That done, you'll now get to choose from 3 actions. You can lay wombats down into your army, assuming you're making the largest group of that rank on the table. For example, if someone already has an existing army of 320 wombats, I can't place 2 or 3 down in front of me. 4 is very good though, as that then allows me to flip my opponent's army, or my smaller one, I suppose, into their burrow. These will likely score negative points at the end of the game. The second option you have is to lay down food or predators. Food can only be placed on an existing set of wombats and adds to their total. Predators do the opposite, chomping away at an existing stack. If there's food in the targeted army, that goes away first, and then any additional wombats are removed. Finally, you can fight, and here's where you'll want to tuck your young into your pouch and get real. Each player chooses 3 wombats, and wombats only, from their hand. In combat, again with a K, you no longer care about their suit. What you care about is their attacking and defending stats in the lower left corner. Once each player has chosen their combatants, they're revealed and each player rolls their respective die. Action cards from either player can be played now, back and forth until both are done. Total up the attack and defense, and the higher number wins. The victor will take a single wombat from their trio and place it face up in front of them for endgame scoring. The remaining 2 come back into the player's hand. The winner also gets to choose which of the opposing wombats is punished, flipped into the loser's burrow, which is kidnapped, taken into the victor's hand, and spared, returned to the loser's hand. They then take 3 poo for winning, and they get to roll the event die, revealing a corresponding card from the top of the stack. Finally, after your chosen action is completed, you end your turn by placing one of your cards from your hand face up into the discard. Of note, before I get to my actual review, these event cards add a neat little swing into the game, changing the rules a bit and having a definite effect on how the game is played. They're a fun addition and add even more chaos into the milieu. But will it blend? Sorry, wrong video. Does it work? It does indeed. Wombat Kombat is a game that knows exactly what it is. This isn't a grand game of agonizing decisions. We won't be planning several moves ahead or plotting any grand schemes. This is 100% a quick set collection game with a healthy dollop of take that. Where it excels is in the theme. The individual battling wombats are really cute, and I like the fact that the attack and defense power isn't tied directly to the availability of a card. While there are only 4 boxing wombats in the deck, and they do have the game's strongest attack with 4, the luchador wombats also have 4 attack, and there are 14 of those. Where I wanted more from this game is actually, well, where I wanted less. Less of these cards. With 108 wombats in the game, alongside 37 action cards and 9 of each food and predator, this deck is tall at the beginning of the game, which causes the last 5 to 10 minutes to drag a little. By that time, you more or less know who's going to win, and it's just getting there. With no way to accelerate the endgame, a couple of our games have devolved into just drawing cards and fighting anyone with more than 7 cards in their hand. And if you've lost a couple of fights due to the other player having better action cards or better dice rolls, then you're gonna have a hard time here. Overall, if you're looking for a not quite filler game and you love the art style and overall theme, you should absolutely take a look here. For my table, I don't love the randomness the dice bring, though it is pretty minimal and does in fact favor the defender. I'd absolutely play this with my kid, however. It's a neat introduction to a few larger game concepts, and the event cards keep it spicy. Wombat Kombat succeeds in exactly what it's trying to do, a light-hearted set collection game that focuses on fast gameplay and its adorable art style. Whether it succeeds in being a game that you want to play again is ultimately, as always, up to you. Let's go through our checklist before I give you my final thoughts. In the box, rulebook clear and non-gender pronouns. There's some organizational issues with the rulebook, and while it does continually use he/she to refer to the player, I honestly don't know why it isn't just using they. Still, while the rulebook is a whopping 14 pages, it uses its space well, and once you play the game once, it's a simple enough affair that you shouldn't need it ever again. Iconography clear. Yes, the only iconography you'll need to wrestle with is the cubicle poo and the attack and defense on each of the wombat cards. This isn't a complicated Euro after all. Packaging well done. I never love a dual channel box insert, and I wasn't given any baggies at all for the cards or tokens, except a very small one for the dice. You'll want one for sure for the tokens at least. On the table, good representation. Of the 9 adorable wombats in the game, 5 appear to be male presenting and 4 appear to be women, but I mean, they're all wombats, so like. Component quality, low. While I do have a pre-production copy, I don't expect much to change from what backers or retail purchasers will see. The cards are pretty flimsy, and there's too many to shuffle easily and not bend a few accidentally. The tokens are standard punch, and the dice are just fine. Overall, I don't think component quality is anything to write home about, but it should keep the retail cost fairly low. Replay value, medium. While this is just a set collection game with 9 different types of sets to get, the variation in the action and event cards should keep things spicy for a while. Fun to lose. Nope. Being unable to put together large enough sets to score is for sure a thing that can happen to you since you're dealing with the shuffled deck of cards, and while you can mess with other people with the occasional attack and predator card, it's not a path to victory yourself. Being constantly beat to the punch, often literally, while placing sets can feel really awful, and while flipping someone else's army is great, there's no guarantee you'll be able to get there. Wombat Kombat is an adventure in the 6+ player count genre, and it's always nice to see designers take a stab at that without being a stereotypical party game. It genuinely tries to be a game with enough depth to feel like you have some choices to make, and the art style is just cutesy enough to be a draw without being annoyingly cloying. If you like set collectors that need a new game for when game night gets to be a little big, Wombat Kombat could easily be your 50-pound snuggle buddy. As always, I'm Nicholas, reminding you to help protect the game population, always leave your cards. Hey everyone, if you liked our video, please hit that sub button and ring the bell for notifications. Check out all of our other offerings at goodluckhighfive.com, and please consider becoming a patron of the channel over at patreon.com/GLHFmagic. It helps us keep making videos, reviews, and podcasts. You can become a member for any dollar amount. We're also always looking for new games to review. You can reach me at glhfnicholas@gmail.com. You can follow me, Captain N the Game Master, at CaptainNGM on Twitter and Instagram, and follow the channel at GLHF Magic. Remember, please shop at your local game store whenever possible. Until next time, I'm Nicholas, and good luck. High five.